Hello, good people. Welcome back. So, in our last example, we did this example of a class employee, the init method, calculate method. We had this instance of employee. We were trying to see the calculate the net pay, or basically the payment the user gets. So we had Alice being an instance of the class. The wage is 6.25 and the hours worked is 45. I have gone ahead and did an example using Barbara. Barbara is she earns $2 and she has just only worked 3 hours. She seems to be not that hardworking. So in doing that we see a net pay of 6 because it's 3 by 2. Now let's do one last example using we'll call this class 6.py. So here we are going to our class, and then we see how addition comes in, right? Basically we're going to do a class of person info. Yeah, basically we're going to add the number of kids. Okay, fine, let's get started. So we have a class called person info, right? This is our class name. After having a class name, we have the init function method. We said a method defined inside a class is called a method. So we have the init method here. This has a parameter of self. This has to be there always. Then we now have our attributes here. We are going to have the number of kids. So we're going to, since we want to add, our initial value will be 0 because we want to be adding. Now if we want to be doing an increment of kids, we'll do another function here. Let's call it inc. Let's call kids. As usual, we must have the self parameter. So what this does is we're trying to increase the number of kids. So we're going to say self dot number of kids, the one we have right here. So we're trying to add 1. So it's equals to self dot number of kids plus 1, right? Then we return the self dot. I will try to see what this brings. Now since we have this, let's now have an instance of the class. We'll say person1 is equals to person, the name of our class, person info. So we now create an instance of a class with person1. Now if we do, so first we're going to print this, right, when it is 0. Then the next we're going to increment. We call the function which increments. So we're first going to print when it's 0, then we call this function which increments the number of kids with 1. The number of kids is 0, so it will increment with 1. Let's see how that goes. So first we print when it's 0, then we add 1. So we're going to say print because we want to have string. Let's say kids full colon. We say person1 because we have initialized our class with person1. So had we called it person A, person2, we'd have called that person1 dot number of kids. So if we run this code, it will give us 0 because the number of kids is still 0. We haven't called the function, right? Now right here we call the function person1. Now the function, the method here, sorry for calling it again a function. We said a function we find inside a class called a method. So we call our method. So here we have call our method to add 1 to increment the number of kids by 1, right? So this line 21 does that. Now if we print again that, now the number will have an addition of 1. So we're going to say print, that's the same thing we've done, but this time round print this. Let me see, we have added a new baby. Let's say kids now person1, because we have basically it's just the same thing as this, but right now we have a function coming in between that, now having to increment 1. Let's see what result we have. So let's clear this, then we say Python, our file is class 6, so class 6 we don't have, okay, sorry, let's take this inside here, yeah, class 6. So we now have, let's do class 6. So as we said right here, sorry about that, that's our previous example. Right here we have the number of kids being 0 as we initialized, then we do this which adds 1, that's why our result here becomes 1, right? Now for this example you can make it easier. Let me comment this out, comment it out like this. So you can say self dot number of kids plus is equals to 1, and this should work as well. Yeah, exactly. So this line 13 is the same as line 12. Line 12 in simpler terms we write like this when we want to add 1 to this. So we say number of kids equals to plus is equals to 1. Basically we're adding 1 to it, then we return the number of kids. I hope this example is clear, and basically we have defined a function, we have defined a method to increment the number of kids by 1, then we return it. So we want to increment by 4, basically, so we'll now have 4. You've added 4 babies, now you'll have 4, but right now you're just incrementing by 1. I hope this makes sense and we've understood how classes are created, how we instantiate a class, and how we're able to call a function, and then we'll be able to increment that by 1. I hope that makes sense, and we've been able to understand that. We're going to proceed with our examples of classes as we learn more about classes. I hope you've enjoyed this, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.